Hi friends, it's me, Miss B, back again, ready for our next art adventure. Today, we are going to be making some science and art combined art projects using salt and watercolor. Here are some of the things we're going to need. We're going to need a regular container of white Elmer's glue, some paper, a tray, some salt, regular household salt is fine, some watercolor. Sargent watercolor is really great, but you can also use anything you have lying around, preferably liquid. If you don't have watercolor, I'll show you what to do instead. But first, we need to put on our aprons. Okay, if you don't have any liquid watercolor at home, you can make some. Any kind of paint like tempera or acrylic can be turned into something pretty much like watercolor. I'm going to put some regular acrylic paint into my tray. Excuse the used tray here. Some red, just a little. Some blue, just a little. And some yellow. Then I'm going to take some water and mix it. I'm going to want to have about twice as much water as I have paint. Then I'm going to get a nice clean brush and rub and mix till I get a really watery color. It's not quite liquid watercolor, but it'll work just as well for the purposes of what we're doing today. So now I have a nice bright yellow, a nice bright blue. I'm going to add a little bit more paint to this yellow. If it doesn't look very bright, you can always add more paint. Mix, 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 mix. Oh, that's great. Okay. And last but not least, my red. Excellent. Now I have all three colors done in watercolor. Or done in. These are perfect. And I'm going to use them just the same way I use my liquid watercolors, all laid out in a palette. Okay. My paint's made, my area is all set up, and it's time for the fun to begin. I put my paper in a tray because I know I'm going to spill some salt on top, and I don't want to make a mess. So everyone's paper should rest on a tray. First things first, my friend, glue. Now, what's the best way to use glue? I know my friends have some ideas, but I'm going to go through a couple of them just so they can be fresh in your mind. First, your glue is closed if this little white tip is showing. To open your glue, you need to turn it until that little white spot disappears. How do you know your glue is open? It'll tell you. You can listen very close and hear it whisper, "I'm ready to go." Let's try. I hear it. Can you? That's air coming in and out of the glue, so you know your glue is ready to go. Now, what's the best way to squeeze your glue? Sometimes I see my friends going, trying to get glue out, come out, and nothing happens. Here's some important things to remember. 1, your glue must be upside down if you want the glue to come out. 2, you need to put your thumbs right in the middle of the glue. The best way to know where that is look for the big letters. I see the words glue all right there, so I'm going to put my thumbs right there. That's where I squeeze. Of course, your thumb's going to be pointed towards you, so only you will be able to see the right spot to put your thumbs. Okay, now, this project is all about making lines, so I'm going to draw with my Elmer's glue. Take a look. I'm going to put my thumbs on the words glue and squeeze. Oh, there we go. I can get a nice solid line. I want to try to have my line be nice and solid and consistent. I don't want a lot of dots and parts that aren't connected. You'll see why later on. I can make loop-de-loops. I can make zigzags. Whatever kind of design I want, as long as it's a nice, consistent line of glue. Ta-da! On to the next step. Next, I'm going to take some ordinary household salt and shake it all over my paper. A grown-up may have to do this part for you. Let's go. I want to get the salt all around. When I have lots and lots of salt on my paper, I'm then going to try to move the salt around to make sure it touches all of my glue. Here we go. Shake it here. Oh, there's a spot I missed. Shake it there. Shake it here. Gotta get the salt everywhere. Over there, some missing. When you're all done, it should look like a snowy design. But we're not done. Now it's time to add some color. Are you ready, friends? This next part is my favorite. It may even look a little bit like magic to you, but really, it's just that part where science and art meet. Now, my paper right now is all covered with salt, and I'm going to drip tiny little bits of watercolor on top to make a cool effect. Watch this. I'm gonna take a little blue watercolor, dipped on my brush just a bit, and then I'm going to touch it to the salt. Let's see what happens. Oh my gosh, can you guys see that? Let me try it again. Just a touch. Whoa, do you see how the salt is traveling all over, or the watercolor is traveling all through the salt? That's that part where science and art come together, because the salt absorbs the watercolor like a sponge and sends it all through our salty design. Let me try a new color. Whoa, look at that. I can touch my brush to all different parts of my picture, wherever there's salt, and it will carry the watercolor to wherever it wants to go. I don't have to rub or even brush any kind of way I usually use my paintbrush. I just hold it still and steady, and it does all the work. If you want, you can also use an eyedropper. Eyedroppers do basically the same thing in this project. If you want to use an eyedropper, here's how it works. You squeeze the eyedropper, you dip it into the color, and then you open your fingers, and there's the paint. We can drip our paint right on our salt the same way we were doing it with the brush. If you have eyedroppers at home or in your classroom, this is a really fun way to do this project. Now I'm going to use more of this homemade watercolor. I really like this blue. Let's see what happens. Whoa. We have a lot of blue and red. I think it's time to try some new colors. Whoa. That's a lot of fun. I'm going to use my paintbrush again. Wow. If I put two colors nearby, they touch and make a new color. I wonder what kind of new colors you'll be able to make. Well, that was a lot of fun. I love when art combines with other things like science and reading and math. Today, we got to make a really cool art/science piece. Now, one of the most important things to learn when you're making art is when to stop and when to clean up. And now is about that time. I want to say it was really fun making with you today, and I can't wait to see you face to face again. Bye, friends. Bye, Keanu. See you soon.